In this video, I want to talk about the use of Alexander technique for cognitive security in the context of the belief and transmission of memes. This was triggered by this book, Anti-Memetics by Nadia Asperogova, and it made me realize just how important Alexander technique can be for protecting ourselves against this kind of manipulation by memetics. So one of the important things to understand about all this attention, awareness, and consciousness stuff that I talk about is that these changes happen in response to some kind of stimulus, to some trigger in the environment or in ourselves. So normally in the AT world, it's a movement. When we start a habit as a movement, standing up, sitting down, whatever, what tends to happen is that we contract and fixate onto the habit itself and then come back to full consciousness when the habit is done. The things that go together, as I've discussed recently, are contraction of awareness, fixation of attention, and a dimming of consciousness. So you're fixated in a smaller space and you don't really know what's happening because you're not quite so much there. Analogy is you're driving home on a very familiar route and you get home and it's like, where was I? It's something like that. Now, I'm really interested in non-physical applications of this process, and memetics seems to be one of them. So when you encounter an idea, certain ideas are more grabby than others. They make you want to contract, to fixate, and to dim your consciousness onto them. These might be because you agree with them strongly and you really want them to be true. They might be very provocative. They might be seemingly important. And an example in here of a super meme is existential risk conversations, where you come across one of these ideas and you can't help but just fall into it. Other ideas, so then other memes that are not quite so powerful might be normal internet memes where you fixate temporarily, but it doesn't really hang on to you for very long. So you contract and fixate onto these ideas. That's a meme. Or you might want to contract and fixate away from that idea. That's an anti-meme. So almost like you're using a muscle tension to avoid thinking about something. Like, I will not look at the idea. I'm going to look somewhere else. That's kind of like an anti-fixation, a fixation somewhere else. So one way I'm thinking about this is that memes want you to fixate onto them. Anti-memes want you to fixate away from them. The issue with fixating in this way is that we lose our consciousness and we lose our capacity to make new choices. We essentially compromise our intellectual faculties when we are in this state because we lose view of the context. We become unable to look at anything else and we have less vividness of experience. We're just living in this smaller world, which is being defined by the idea that we're being captured by. The move that I think Alexander technique can support when it comes to this kind of intellectual pursuit is the same as with any other, is to notice that this is going on and to pause, to inhibit, and to zoom back out again without pushing the thing away. So for example, let's say I come across an idea, a meme, a powerful meme, and I notice that I've contracted. Perhaps this is a meme that challenges my worldview. Perhaps it has consequences that I don't like. Perhaps I really want it to be true. Perhaps it's scary. Perhaps something in me wants it to be important in some way. It triggers emotions that I find difficult or powerful in some way. If I then zoom out while looking at this idea, I have to feel all that stuff and I have to be with some of the issues that contraction solves locally, right? So, for example, if I come across an idea that challenges one of my existing worldviews, and entertain it as being true as well. It might be true. I have to live in that paradox. I have to be able to live in a state where this seems true and this thing seems true as well. But paradox can be physically uncomfortable. What if I'm wrong over here? What if my entire world has been built on this assumption is incorrect? What does it mean for this to be true? And it's so tempting for us to resolve this by just cutting out one of the others, or by adopting a posture towards one of these two sides. And there's more than just two, right? The world is complex in a way that means it can't be reduced to single arguments or single points. But by zooming out in this way, it allows us to actually look at what's going on and to perhaps come to new conclusions and to let go of old ideas when we realize that they're not serving us very well. And I'm exploring this because I'm a little bit worried about how easy it is to fixate and to lose consciousness when we encounter these ideas. And when we're in that state, how easy it is for these ideas to do things to us behind the scenes without us realizing. We get captured by these ideas. I think we'd be much better off if we can learn to navigate this landscape of strong opinions, if you like, and learn to differentiate between what seems like fact in the world and what seems like fact as we're expressing it versus what's actually an opinion, and start to notice how those two things can start to get conflated just by noticing how we feel towards them. It's very easy to say an opinion as if it's fact, and it might feel like fact, but actually it's just a strongly held opinion. This is a really important way to put down strongly held opinion. You can still hold them strongly as long as you can let go of them easily as well. Lightly held, that's what it means to be lightly held. But it can't be lightly held if you're here. This is tightly held. Physically, emotionally, mentally, all of those things. This is tightly held. And this is what we're doing to ideas a lot of the time without realizing it. Now, because the psychophysical system is unified, it's one body-mind, even though we like to split it into pieces. If we learn how to get that spacious quality just in the physical domain, just I can notice the horizon around me, it's the same system that's working on the intellect. It's the same idea that's working in opinions in that world as well. So it's a global phenomenon. It's a global solution. And it will cross those boundaries because those boundaries aren't really real. So this is something I'm going to be exploring a lot in the time to come. I think it's a really powerful application of Alexander technique and adjacent practices. And I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. Thank you for watching.